Hello, Rich Mason here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Rich. Thank you for joining. So let me do a quick introductions and then you can take it over. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank
Sorry, I
you.
think you are having some trouble to join. Um, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on wherever you're joining. Thank you for taking time to attend. On behalf of All India Oracle Users Group, very warm welcome to Sangam 20 Virtual Conference. You can call Festival of Oracle. It is already a week 2, day 6, and we are in the third keynote. Before I introduce today's keynote speaker, I would like to cover a brief overview of Sangam 20, a few housekeeping tasks. So as you can see, Sangam 20 is a 12th anniversary, and it's like your 12 months of knowledge is actually coming in 12 days. So it's very important to attend all the sessions. And we have 100 plus speakers, and you can see like we have a lot of keynote speakers. We are able to bring this COVID era, so people are joining virtually, so they are presenting. So it's a really important opportunity to attend and share with your connections. And today you can see that we have covered like pretty much on the security sessions, and there's one security session coming at the last session. And we have MySQL started already with Kersey, this customer from BSC, and this is the second keynote coming from Rich. So please attend all the sessions, and it is very important slide. Please take a screenshot of this slide and share it in your social media channels so that others also can join. A few housekeeping things. Ask all your questions in the Q&A bottom of your screen. If you need any support, please shout at chat box. Continue your conversations using AIOG and Sangam 20, and we will upload all the presentation material in the AIOG website. And since it's a keynote, please wait for a keynote quiz after Rich's presentation. And also important thing is provide your feedback, what you are expecting for the next session on from MySQL side. So with that, I don't know how many of you know about Rich Mason. He's one of our, he's a keynote speaker, even Oracle Open World, right? So he's the guy behind MySQL. So I'll just introduce in a couple of lines. So Rich has been with MySQL for 16 years. In this journey, MySQL has matured from a small European database startup to become a most popular open source database in the market today. So MySQL now has more than 20,000 commercial customers and power business critical applications all around the world in retail stores, gaming companies, mobile services. Again, there are all the industries, right? And also many customers from India. So prior to joining MySQL in 2005, Rich served various UK and EMEA software sales leadership roles with Sun Microsystems, Ford Company, Oracle, Ingress. So when he's not working, it's really cool. Like his interests include family, skiing, and motorsport. So with that, very warm welcome, and it's a great privilege to have in our community as a keynote speaker. Over to you, Rich. Please share your presentation, and floor is yours.
Thank you. You want me to share mine, or are you going to put it up?
No, you can share. Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. Okay. 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 Just okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. Okay, so thank you for inviting me to speak today. I believe this may be the first time that the MySQL team has presented at this event. So thank you for the invitation. I hope we make it worth your while. My responsibility at Oracle is to lead MySQL sales, and as you mentioned in the introduction, I've been doing it a while, and it's been an amazing journey and continue to be an amazing journey, right from being part of the team at a small Swedish company called MySQL AB. That's how MySQL got started around 20 years ago or so. And then right through the acquisition by Sun Microsystems in 2008. And then, of course, when Oracle purchased Sun in 2010, we came along as part of the package, if you like, and we've been running the MySQL business, but with the benefit of Oracle's experience in producing enterprise database software in that time. And as you'll see in my presentation, the last 3 months has been very exciting for us with some new announcements that I'll cover in summary today, and you'll hear more about in detail from other MySQL speakers after me. Okay, so there's an organization out there called DB Engine's Ranking, and they look at the database market every month, and they measure using some key online measures around the popularity of the database management system. There's about 300 or so that they measure every month, and they stack rank them in terms of popularity. There's an algorithm they apply, and they do this every month like a metronome. This comes out every month. And if you were to look at the stack ranking of databases, not just open source databases, but all databases, then no surprises, Oracle database is the most popular database and has been for as long as I've been viewing and monitoring the DB Engine's ranking stats. And as you can see from my chart here, if you go back a year, Oracle's #1. If you would go back another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, etc., it would still be Oracle databases #1. But if you were to go back over the last few years, you would see that MySQL has risen to be #2. 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were #3, but because some of the innovations we put into MySQL since we've been at Oracle, we've risen up to #2. And as you can see that last month before that, and a year ago, and if you look back 2, 3, 4 years, you would see that we were #2. And that makes us the most popular open source database by the measurings of Database Engine's ranking, ahead of Postgres and ahead of MongoDB, but also ahead of Microsoft SQL Server as a non-open source database. And in fact, last year, we were proud to be awarded the Database of the Year by dbengine's.com in 2019. So MySQL is clearly positioned as a very popular, in fact, the most popular open source database. If you're a developer, you'll know about MySQL. Two surveys here done in the last 12 months, Stack Overflow survey and the JetBrains server, and this is specifically answered by developers. You know, which databases are most popular for developing applications, and which databases have you used in the last 12 months? As you can see, MySQL is right at the top, ahead of Postgres and Mongo, etc. So, whether you're just using it generally or you're specifically a developer, MySQL is popular and is pretty much mainstream now. Over the 10, 20 years we've been running the business, over that period of time, we've garnered an amazing list of customers who use MySQL in all parts of their business. And I've just picked a few industries here, but if you look at social media, one of our biggest customers is Facebook. We've been working with them for a long time. In fact, I remember the first time they placed an order with us for MySQL Enterprise was in 2008, about 3 or 4 years after Facebook was started. I remember seeing the first order from them. It was quite an exciting moment. But we have a long, successful relationship with Facebook. MySQL is used in a very large part of their data infrastructure. But also, if you look at other social media companies like Twitter and LinkedIn, WeChat, etc. Then in e-commerce, Booking.com. Similarly, we've enjoyed a long relationship with Booking.com, who are the biggest seller of online room reservations on the planet. Other companies like Netflix, Uber, Airbnb using MySQL. We're very popular in the tech space. And certainly the last 5 or 6 years, we've really come up in the finance and banking and payment space. If you were to look at our customer list in the US, I think 3 of the top 4 US banks now have significant investment in MySQL and are using MySQL for a significant portion of their data management infrastructure. And also payments. Visa, a very big customer of ours out in California, and American Express, they're not on the chart, but also a big customer of ours. If you look in manufacturing, I mean, Tesla, one of the most innovative companies in that segment, have a big relationship with us, as do Volkswagen and Toyota. So MySQL, since we've become part of Oracle, where Oracle has a very much an enterprise background. Oracle's been around 40-something years. I forget exactly, maybe it's 45 years now, something like that, and has grown up and has been very successful addressing the problems of enterprises. We've benefited from being part of Oracle, and we've been, with Oracle's oversight, we've been improving MySQL over the last 10 years since we've been at Oracle by putting things in that things into the product that enterprises would like. And we've effectively cross-sold to many of Oracle's customers, as well as retained some of the customers we had, like Facebook, for example, and Booking.com that we had before we came into Oracle. So MySQL, very broad base now of customers, not just in telecoms and social and e-commerce, how we started out, but right across government, technology, finance, manufacturing, etc., and retail. I don't think anybody would argue now that open source is mainstream in the enterprise, but just in case you doubt it, this slide comes from a Red Hat report that was issued recently, State of the Enterprise Open Source, and their conclusion is that 95% of the respondents in their survey agree that enterprise open source is very important, is important, to be accurate, is important in the enterprise. So you could say that, well, that's Red Hat, they're just looking at the operating system layer. But if you go up into the database layer, then it's true that open source databases are also mainstream. And this, I'm quoting Gartner here, 70% of new in-house applications will be developed on an open source database management system or an open source DBMS-based platform as a service by 2022. 2022 is not far away. We're 18 months or 13 months away from 2022. We're almost there. Also, 89% of organizations reported using free or open source database software, and a third reported using it in more than 50% of their organization. So we've come a long way, and open source databases as well as open source operating systems are mainstream too. And they go on to say, open source database management system growth and influence continue as products and vendors mature and expand their capabilities. And that very much encapsulates what we've been doing since we've been a part of Oracle. Oracle has really helped us broaden the appeal of our products and mature them and provide a world-class support organization alongside MySQL. So their recommendation is that data and analytics leaders, including DBAs and application developers, should evaluate open source database-based alternatives for all their DBMS initiatives. So I think we conclude then that open source databases are mainstream, here to stay, and very much alive, kicking and growing. So just changing tack for a moment, I'm sure you've seen slides like this before, but what does this mean? Well, there's been an explosion of data in today's digital society, and we hear stats such as data is exploding exponentially and is doubling every approximate 2 years. You'll have seen many statistics like that. But in business today, we're responsible as IT professionals. We're responsible for managing data and managing it securely. And data is at the heart of every business, whether you're on the supply chain end, whether you're dealing with customers and customers' data, customer support, their billing information, whether it's dealing with partners. All this data is tremendously important that we keep it accurate and safe. And some of this data, we generate ourselves inside our organization, and some of this data is entrusted to us from other organizations. Some of this data is transient and comes and goes, and we just have it for seconds or minutes. And other data we're responsible for keeping safe and secure for many, many years. So this is a big topic. And of course, with the rise of the digital society and the rise of data, security has become a big concern. And you may have seen me present this slide before in previous MySQL keynotes, but this problem isn't going away, and it's actually getting worse. We're not even through 2020 yet. We still have a month to go, and already there's been almost 3,000 breaches, data breaches, and 36 billion records stolen. Capital One, a hacker gained access to 100 million credit card applications and accounts. Marriott, massive data breach 2 years ago in 2018, affecting 500 million guests. And then worse still, they were hacked again 2 years later with 5 million guests affected. And then you can see the slide there for EasyJet. British Airways is one that is close to my heart because before the pandemic, in the nature of my job, I was traveling a lot. I'm English and I live in the UK. So I was constantly on and off planes, mostly with British Airways. And during 2018, there was a data breach, a whole bunch of transactions of sales of tickets over, I think it was several month period in 2018 in the summer. And a lot of data was accessed. And as a customer, the inconvenience to me was incredible. The amount of administrative work I had to do with British Airways, and in the end, they just said, "Look, just cancel your credit cards." So I had to go through the hassle and the pain of canceling my credit card. But as a result of that, a few months ago, British Airways were fined, and they face a fine of £183 million. So, data breaches and security is a big topic. It's a P&L item, and this is something that we need to, as IT professionals, take care of. So how do we do it? Because there's a landscape of ever-changing data protection laws and regulations that are springing up in different markets to address slightly different problems. In Europe, where I am, sitting in the UK, well, we're part of Europe for a few more days anyway. GDPR is in play for data protection, but depending where you go in the world, there's different laws and regulations that, as a business, if I want to trade in any of those marketplaces, I need to be sure that I am complying with those laws and regulations. So if I'm a US company, for example, and I want to trade in Europe, I need to comply with GDPR, even though I'm a US company, and vice versa. So how do you do this? These rules are constantly springing up. There's new ones regularly, and the rules themselves and the regulations and the laws are changing. So how do you in your data management infrastructure cope with that and address it and be on the front foot with protecting the data of yours and your customers and your suppliers and your partners? Well, with MySQL, what we do in MySQL Enterprise Edition, which is the way that we provide MySQL to our on-prem customers, we provide a suite of tools to help with that, a layer of security tools that you can use some or all of to do whatever you need to do to protect your data and comply with these laws and make sure that your processes are accurate, ranging from MySQL Enterprise masking, where you can de-identify or anonymize data that's very sensitive, you don't want people to see internally, ranging to various types of encryption, so if the data is encrypted, if somebody does access the data or does get hold of the data, they can't read it. Special rules and facilities around authentication, and firewall, so you can block SQL injection attacks and detect intruders. Tools around audit, so you can see who used the database and when, who accessed the database, and monitor, so you can monitor changes in configurations and schemas, keep track of permissions and passwords. Then, of course, backup, so you can do secure encrypted backups. So we provide this suite of tools all inside the MySQL Enterprise Edition subscription. They're all in there. You can use some or all of them, but they all come as part of MySQL Enterprise Edition. And MySQL Enterprise Edition is the edition of MySQL that the vast majority of our customers use. So I mentioned at the start of my talk that the last 3 or 4 months has been a very exciting time for us. We've been in development for the last 3 years of an OCI native meaning we're building it specifically with Oracle OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, the second generation infrastructure as a service offering from Oracle. We've been building this at Oracle, from the MySQL team, partnering with other teams inside Oracle to introduce MySQL Database Service. You may hear me slip into an acronym for it called MDS. That's the name we use for it internally, MDS for MySQL Database Service. So if you do, please forgive me, but the proper name is MySQL Database Service. And this has taken us 3 years to write and to test. And we came out of our beta and limited availability programs on September 1 and went GA for the first time with the MySQL Database Service. And this is built natively on Oracle's cloud, OCI, and we refer to that as a Gen 2 cloud because it takes all the things that you may be used to in your first generation cloud, if you're using cloud like Amazon, for example, or some of the others, where you get the access to elastic resources that can scale up and down or scale very high. You can just pay just for what you use. And it's a self-service paradigm, very easy to use. On top of that, with OCI, it's been architected with a security first mantra, meaning that we know with our 30, 40, 50 years of enterprise experience that the number one topic at the top of most CIOs and CEOs' agenda is security, data security. So it's built with security in mind, and it's architected in a way that no other public cloud is, to make sure that our customers' data and our data is all kept highly secure. It's also architected, as you would expect, for superior performance, being Oracle, but also it's positioned with superior economics. As we go through the presentations today, you'll see that OCI is very competitive, not just on its functionality and performance, but in the way it's priced. And I've mentioned the enterprise expertise earlier on. So this is very exciting for us to produce the MySQL Database Service on top of OCI, the Gen 2 cloud from Oracle. So you can think of MySQL Database Service really as the intersection between MySQL Enterprise Edition. This is the subscription we've been selling our on-prem customers now for many, many years. But think of it as the intersection with OCI. So Enterprise Edition and OCI coming together. So by using the MySQL Database Service, we save you from having to do a lot of the automation or the manual tasks that we automate around provisioning, configuring, securing, patching and upgrading, scaling back up your servers, the same for your operating systems. We do all the hardware purchasing, provisioning, and maintenance, same for storage, and we take care of the data center. So you don't need to worry about any of that. You just get a managed service for the MySQL Database Service that we manage, the MySQL team at Oracle. We design MySQL, we design the MySQL Database Service, we operate it in several data centers around the world. We're up to 8 right now, but very quickly going to around 19 by the end of January. So we operate it for you. It's the MySQL team at Oracle. So, as I said, we own the IP for MySQL. We design MySQL, we designed, develop, and we operate, and we support the MySQL Database Service, the Oracle MySQL team. So this saves you a lot of manual tasks, allows you to focus on more productive things. So what are the key use cases for the MySQL Database Service? Well, we've listed a few here, but building new cloud native apps, so they don't exist at the moment, you build them for the first time in the cloud. With the MySQL Database Service, we can provision you new MySQL instances in minutes. You don't have to wait for someone to provide you with a machine and go and buy the software. It's just there, and it's very easy to provision. So you guys can focus on development rather than the administration around the database and the underlying technology. We'll give you access to all the tools and the latest features you need so you can build modern applications that will appeal to your end users. And of course, because we're built in OCI, you can scale as needed. Or you can move existing workloads that you have already on-prem in your data center or in your private cloud, you can move those into the MySQL Database Service, sometimes referred to as lift and shift. And by doing that, by moving them into MySQL Database Service in the Oracle Cloud, you'll get improved security and the ability to get expert MySQL technical support, again, from the MySQL team at Oracle that built the service and built MySQL. Of course, you'll get the latest updates, security fixes, and features. And because of that, you'll be able to improve your productivity and accelerate innovation in your business and the time it takes you to produce new applications and bring them to market. We'll be coming on to analytics in a few moments, and Thomas Ulin, who'll be speaking shortly after me, will come into analytics. We'll cover analytics in more detail. But with the analytics solution that we're going to talk to you about today, you can use it to get faster business insights within the MySQL Database Service, can do analytics on data in a real-time sense, meaning that you haven't had to take the data out of your transaction processing database as you do with other cloud providers, and move it into some other different database, specifically more suited for analytics. So you can do your OLTP and your analytics processing, your OLAP applications against the same MySQL database. And Thomas will be covering that technology that enables that in a bit more detail later. But the number one benefit here, other than the fact you can do your OLAP processing quicker and cheaper than anywhere else, is that you get to eliminate this thing known as ETL, extract, transform, load. Depending on the complexity of your architecture, ETL is a major headache. The need to take data out of your operational TP systems and move them into a separate OLAP database or service is fraught with issues, is error prone. And of course, as soon as you've moved the data out of your transaction processing system, as soon as you've moved it out into your OLAP service or system, the data is immediately out of date because your transaction processing system keeps on spinning and doing its daily job, and you've moved data and it's immediately out of date. By having it in the same back end, when you do your OLAP, you're doing it on current data in real time. And the real winner here is that as long as you're on MySQL 8.0, which is the latest version of MySQL, been out in GA for a couple of years now, you can literally take your MySQL on-prem applications and you can move them with no change, zero change, right into the MySQL Database Service to run either your TP applications or your OLAP applications and speed up the query processing. So that is a big one that we'll be coming on to a little bit later. Then, of course, if you're an ISV or you're a software house, then you'll know that MySQL has a big background in the embedded database market. And we have some very big customers in the embedded space. And that has helped us shape MySQL Database Service to make sure it's highly attractive for ISVs and OEMs building SaaS applications for sale to their customers. For ISVs, it's all about COGS, cost of goods sold. And if you can produce a highly performant database service that is highly performant and is attractive economically, then you're onto a winner. And MySQL Database Service does just that, and very attractive to ISVs. And of course, you get the expert MySQL technical support team right inside the MySQL engineering team that built the service and built MySQL to answer your SRs and your phone calls. So there's some clues to some of the key use cases for the MySQL Database Service. Just to give you some idea of the pricing, so I'm showing here pricing dollars per month for a standard E3 AMD Rome shape, $41 a month for the standard shape. You compare that, that's less than a third of the cost of AWS RDS and Azure equivalent shapes, and less than double the cost of Google Cloud SQL shape. And by the way, if you haven't seen already, that MySQL Database Service is available in India. It's already available in our Mumbai data center and has been for some time. So just in case you were thinking we weren't yet in India, yes, MDS is in Mumbai already and will be in Hyderabad in a short period of time. So the standard memory shape, $41 a month, significantly cheaper than the competition. And for our high memory shape, another E3 shape, but with 16 gigabytes per core, the trend applies. Less than a third of the price of AWS and Azure, and less than double the price of Google. Then if you look at storage and backup costs, again, highly attractive pricing when compared to the competition. So we've really gone at great lengths, not only to provide a highly attractive service that we'll come on to in more detail as we go through our sessions in the event today, but we've priced it very aggressively to make it not only performant and attractive and easy to use, but attractive to your budgets and very attractive when compared to the other major competition in the public cloud space. Taking another look at it, if you were to look at the annual cost for 100 OCPU configuration with 1 terabyte of storage, you'd be looking at around $65,000 MySQL Database Service, and more than $200,000 for Amazon and Azure and their equivalent shapes, and $170,000 for the year for Google Cloud SQL. So again, you can see there that the pricing is deliberately very attractive, just to make it compelling for our customers to start using. And then if we look just outside of MDS, but in the infrastructure as a service layer in OCI, there's some other things you may need depending upon the other things you're trying to achieve. But if you need virtual machine instances, you can see that AWS is 49% more expensive. If you need a bare metal shape, AWS are 45% more expensive. GPU, you can see there, 26%. And then block storage, it's a world apart, significantly cheaper by thousands of percentage. And then the thing that most people tend to forget when we're having our conversations with customers, if you want to get your data out of the public cloud, once you put it in, for some reason you want to get it out again, we've made that compellingly attractive. The phrase we use is internet data egress, but at 50 terabytes a month, it costs you $340 to take your data out of OCI, whereas AWS, you'll be looking at 1,300% more. That's a hidden cost that people often don't consider when they're doing their sums. So whether you're looking at MySQL Database Service or you're looking at the other infrastructure service offerings that you might need alongside MDS, then the prices are designed to be compelling. Now, I mentioned this earlier on, but I'll just refer to it because it kind of sets up the next announcement we made just a few days ago, sorry. As I said earlier, if MySQL users want to do OLAP, then they need to use, up to now, but no longer, I'm pleased to say, but up to now, they've really needed to use 2 different database technologies, because MySQL was never really designed to do analytics processing, and was really our design goal was more around transactions and read-intensive application workloads, and so that's where we spent our time in developing MySQL. So this is the topology you would see in either on-prem installations, or you would see it in the cloud. You would see that transaction processing applications would run against MySQL, and then through ETL, extract, transform, load, that I mentioned earlier on, data, because MySQL wasn't suited to OLAP, they would take data out using some kind of ETL tool and put it into a separate, different database that was more suited to doing OLAP, and then run their OLAP applications against that. And as I mentioned earlier on, this is a problem because ETL is just a problem. There's a whole industry grown up of software vendors and tools vendors offering technology to help with this problem. It's just better not to have to do it at all. And also it means if you don't have to do it, then if you do it all against the same back end, then the data is never out of date, which is also, from a business perspective, very handy and very useful. So, how do we get around this? Well, this is something we've been working on for the last 2 years. And just a few days ago, we announced the MySQL Database Service Analytics Engine, which actually yesterday was renamed HeatWave. And I didn't have time to change my slides for this event. So if I use the term MySQL Analytics Engine and forget to use HeatWave, I apologize, but HeatWave is the new name as of yesterday. And this is what we announced. We announced the MySQL Database Service Analytics Engine, now called HeatWave. It's the only MySQL cloud service out there with an integrated, massively scalable analytics engine. And it's already available. It's already in GA. We've been through a beta and LA phase. We're now in GA, and it's GA since earlier this week. So this service, it's effectively, it sits as an add-on or an accelerator to the MySQL Database Service. It basically allows you to run both your TP applications and your analytics application against the same MySQL backend. And has some technology in there developed in partnership with Oracle Labs that allow the MySQL optimizer to offload the analytics queries to a separate analytics engine that is extremely fast and gives us the extreme performance. So it means that you can take your existing MySQL applications and use them, provided you use MySQL 8.0, which, as I said, has been GA for a couple of years now. So a lot of people using 8.0 now, a big proportion of our base. So as long as you're using 8.0, you can take your applications, whether they be OLTP or OLAP or a bit of both, and run them against the same backend. No need for any ETL. The ETL problem goes away, and you'll get extreme performance compared to running those OLAP applications on standard MySQL in your on-prem installation or even other clouds. But I've got some stats I'll come on to, but this is big news because it basically means that even if you don't have an OLAP application, but you have a TP application with some queries in there that are long running, that frustrate you, that just take too long to complete, this is highly likely to significantly speed up those long running queries. So we did a whole bunch of benchmarks on a benchmark that is derived from the TPCH query, which is around a commercial analytics workload. And I'll show you some of these now. But the first thing I want to say before I actually go into the detail is that we took those benchmarks and benchmark results and we put them on GitHub. So you can go and see these. These are not secret benchmarks. You can go and take a look at these for yourself and run them for yourself and satisfy yourself that this technology will work, this service will work for you with your own particular use cases and applications. So it's out there and it's on GitHub already, and you can take a look at it and just check this out for yourself to make sure that we're telling the truth. But I can assure you we are telling the truth. We spent a lot of time doing these tests. But just to compare an application running against the MySQL Analytics Engine within the MySQL Database Service, compared to running it on-prem in regular MySQL, those analytics queries speed up by, on average, 400 times. Yes, that's 400 times. The big number. You'll hear more about this later today. So what this allows us to do is run our TP applications and our OLAP and our BI analytics applications against the same backend. I mentioned about the MySQL optimizer offloads the analytics query to analytics engine and then returns the results in lightning fast speed. And you'll hear more about this today. But so whether you're running social applications, your e-commerce applications, fintech, SaaS, distribution, customer care, logistics, warehouse, whatever it is, those TP applications can run against the same backend as the OLAP. And if you're using OAC from Oracle or Tableau or Looker, etc., all those tools will work. So you can bring those tools with you and play successfully and use this exciting new analytics service. So you don't have to have all your data in the MySQL Database Service to use the analytics engine. Using MySQL replication, inbound replication, you can actually replicate the data from your transaction processing system in your on-prem or private cloud, or another public cloud provider for that matter. But you can replicate into MDS, MySQL Database Service, and then use the analytics engine, HeatWave, to get the advantage, the price performance advantage that I'm going to show you in a few minutes over other competing analytics services. So you don't have to get hung up on the fact that you must take all your operational data into the cloud. Not necessary. you can carry on running your transaction processing applications in your data center. And for just the analytics workloads, you can replicate that data into MySQL database in a highly secure OCI infrastructure, and then run those analytics at lightning fast speed, as you'll see in a few minutes. So this works whether your applications are in MDS, MySQL Database Service, or they're in your on-prem data center, or in fact in another cloud. So let's look at some benchmarks and TCO numbers here. So first of all, we looked at Amazon Aurora. Amazon Aurora is AWS's flagship general purpose transaction processing database. So we thought, well, let's see what the analytics workloads are like, first of all, against Aurora. So my chart here has sort of 3 segments to it. On the left-hand side, this is once we've got the data into the database service and into the database, this is how long it takes to prepare the data so you can start running queries. That's the left-hand side. The middle size is, well, how fast were we? How quick were we to run the queries? And again, as I said, all these benchmarks are out there on GitHub. You can look at these. And then how much what was the annual cost of the configuration it took to run those queries? So you can see here that we were able to prepare the data 30 times quicker than it took us to prepare the data for Aurora. The runtime of the queries was 1,100 times faster, and the annual cost of the configurations we used was 1/3 of the cost. So 30 times quicker to prepare, 1,100 times quicker at 1/3 of the cost. Those are big numbers, you may find them difficult to believe, but I can assure you they are true. We had a whole team working on this, spending a lot of time making sure we were accurate, fair, and made sure that we did this in a reasonable and fair way. We also found that as we increased this data set size, the advantage in query time actually increased. So on the left-hand side, it's a 256 gigs data set. In the middle, it's 1 terabyte. On the right-hand side, it's 4 terabytes. And the advantage in terms of speed of query, or the runtime of the query, went up from 151 times faster at 256 gigs up to more than 800 times faster at 1 terabyte. When we got to 4 terabytes, we were 1,300 times faster. So as we made the data set larger and more complicated, the advantage increased rather than decreased. So that was Aurora. Let's look at Redshift. So Redshift is Amazon's flagship analytics cloud service. So here, what we're looking at here is speed and cost. Left-hand side, again, these benchmarks are all on GitHub. This is not secret. You can go and take a look at these for yourself. We were 2.7 times faster with a 4 terabyte data size at 1/3 of the cost. And this is against Redshift's fastest shape. Important to note, because we're going to show you it against their most economic shape as well. But against their fastest shape, for these TPCN style benchmarks, we were almost 3 times as fast at 1/3 of the cost. That's incredible. That's some going. If we move on to versus Redshift's low cost shape, we were slightly cheaper, 3% cheaper, but 17 times as quick. So this is, these are groundbreaking results, and we've gone to our utmost to run them in a professional manner and make them public and transparent so you can see these for yourself. So we invite you to go on GitHub and take a look at the work that the team have done. We're as you can see, we're very pleased with it, and we've achieved some very impressive results. Now let's look at some customers highlights. So for the analytics side, or Heatwave, as we now call it, we had a number of customers participate in beta and limited availability, or LA as we call it, before we went GA on the 1st of December. I'm just going to mention 2 or 3 of those. First is Siemens in Germany, and they said they discovered astonishing performance improvements during our test of the new Heatwave, reducing query times from hours to seconds in the case of non-index-based queries. This enabled us to expand our service and open the door to many more analytics-based capabilities while maintaining a single seamless database platform. That was Siemens. This is Macari in Japan. The performance of the MySQL Database Service Analytics Engine, HeatWave, is over 20 times faster than the analytics service of one of the largest cloud vendors and accelerates our analytics workload, our MySQL Analytics workload, by 45,000 times compared to our MySQL on-premises install. 45,000 times, and 20 times faster than the analytics service of one of the largest cloud vendors. And I think I have one more. Yes, Square Enix, also in Japan, gaming company. We ran the analytic workload of the social game infrastructure group with HeatWave without requiring ETL or changing our application. HeatWave is up to 500 times faster than our current on-premise MySQL 5.7 instance. MySQL 5.7 is the last but one version. MySQL 8.0 being the latest, MySQL 5.7 being the last one before that. So as you can see, we're very pleased with MySQL Database Service and HeatWave. We're bringing some groundbreaking performance and economics, analytics economics, to our customers. And I just want to summarize before I pass back to the chair, but just to summarize, the MySQL Database Service is the only MySQL service out there in any cloud vendor that has a massively scalable integrated analytics engine. And this is not futures, this is already GA, it's available today. Enables you to run both your transaction processing and analytics application against the same single MySQL database, which means you can basically run all your analytics in real time. You can run your existing applications 8.0 onwards, they'll work without any changes. And you can also, using the in-round replication feature, run analytics on data that you have stored on-premise or in other clouds. The accelerator within HeatWave accelerates MySQL analytics workloads by order of magnitude, scales to thousands of cores at a dramatically faster speed and a dramatically lower cost. So I want to thank you for your time today, and I'm now going to pass the chair back to our organizers. So back to you guys.
Hey, thank you very much, Rich. This is really insightful. I think people are thinking MySQL is just for development environment. When we see this comparisons, again, just to give a bit background, Rich. So our community is more of Oracle database administrators and developers, and this is what we thought MySQL, right? So that's why we're trying to bring bridge the gap between this knowledge and that knowledge. So I think currently, like, customers are thinking like there are a lot of open source, so that we want to take expertise in MySQL so that we can propose the right solution to the customer at the right time. And think this is especially your entire team, including Shivraj, Anurag, everybody is just trying to educate, especially in the Indian community, one of the biggest, vast community in India. So trying to get that knowledge, trying to push so that everybody is comfortable what's happening. I think it's really eye-opening thing for us, because we only look at very narrowed view. Okay, MySQL, okay, we normally for the websites or small applications. But looking at your stats and numbers, it's really encouraging. And also, I think MySQL Analytics Service, I think anyway, Thomas is going to cover next session with a detailed demo. That is really important. So let me share my screen. Guys, if you have any questions, please ask in Q&A. I think this is the right approach, right time. Ask any questions in next 1 or 2 minutes before I close this one. So again, thank you very much, Rich. I know how busy you are and coming and spending time with our community. I hope this relationship will take a more number of sessions from your team, and especially from Shivraj and Anurag from India. Thanks for that. And now we want to test your knowledge, guys. So please participate in this quiz. and you get a chance to win a lot of gift vouchers. Please scan this QR code and please respond to our quiz, and we will announce winners very soon. Okay, I'll just go to the next one. So this is what Rich also mentioning. The next session is very important. We'll do a little technical deep dive, and there is a demo also available. Means there's a speaker is going to share the live demo. So please join the MySQL Analytics services. Ask questions, right? If you're already in analytics, please ask questions. So that way we can keep it more interactive. So with that, thank you very much, Rich. It's really a pleasure to have you on our community as a keynote speaker. This is really great. Hopefully you'll support us, in upcoming months or,
Absolutely. Before the pandemic, I would normally come to India once or twice a year. I love India, and I love visiting our India team and our customers. So maybe once we've all been injected and we have the vaccine, maybe when next time I come over, maybe we can meet.
Sure. I think you need to. Normally, we do a Sangam in the month of December. That is always happens after Oracle Open World, so that we can bring all the messages to Indian community. So if you want to come to India, please book tickets in December 2021, subject to COVID and vaccine. But yeah, so it's going to be in Bangalore, Rich. So I'll definitely will send you the invitation and make sure that we want to see you face to face. And thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See you in the next session. Thanks. Bye.